let me begin with a brief introduction of myself. My name is Ivan Ishchenko, and I'm a solution engineer here at Starwind. Today's topic is not simply can be covered by just a single webinar. It's just a quick overview what you can even achieve with this, what's the pros and cons of such approach as the PowerShell. So let's start just describing what we actually will talk about. And since like just giving you an overall idea, let us quickly run over the main questions. So we're gonna see why you need the PowerShell in a Hyper-V environment. It's not even only in Hyper-V. It basically relates to all the Windows-based environment. We'll see how what is the main benefits of the PowerShell, using the PowerShell for automatization or any routine tasks, and I will show you some of my example script just as an example. You can even reuse it for your purpose. So let's begin with the challenges with which administrator will face every day. I believe every system administrator or solution architect or engineer has some tasks that are performed every day and may take quite a time when done all manually. In Hyper-V, basically just as any other environment, this can be deployed of numerous VMs, same characteristics, maintenance of your environment, create some routine tasks, etc., etc. So, and even if you are not doing this every day, it's often a common practice when starting work in a new project and doing all of this your own manually simply takes your precious time instead of dealing with some other more important tasks. I believe you are pretty much familiar with this kind of situation where you need to deploy, for example, 10 similar Windows VMs or Linux VMs, not actually matter in the Hyper-V environment. And like you need to do, let's say, 50 clicks each. So basically, with the PowerShell, you can spend a bit more time, but instead do this task absolutely on the background, making some your additional task or any other things which needed. On the other hand, you can spend, as I said, spend some time on the PowerShell, or even not even only PowerShell. Let's say if you have a mixed environment, you can also spend some time learning a Bash scripting or Python scripting. It's very helpful because from day to day we faced a lot of mixed environments where the Linux paying even in fully Windows environments, you still have Linux somewhere. For example, as the gateway, as the router, something like this. It's still good to have, good to know each scripting language, no matter what kind of environment you usually have. So with the PowerShell, you can basically automate most of your daily routines or some repeated tasks that usually takes a lot of time. This can be planned live migration of all of the VMs, the nodes within the failover cluster, let's say, the maintenance to stop all of the services and the VMs. You can even remotely log in inside the VM using the PowerShell and invoke some commands inside the VMs. So there's no limitations on the PowerShell, only like simple limitations which you can do it, for example, using PowerShell control, entirely control Linux, or using a bash entirely control the Windows. If you have the same environment, let's say Windows, your laptop, and Windows as your hypervisor, so the Hyper-V, you can execute any tasks, such as I said, creating clone VMs, making a snapshot, delete the snapshots, merging the snapshots, creating a virtual switches, delete the virtual switches. There's a lot of them. And basically, to be honest with you, the only cons which I can see in the PowerShell is the skills, but it's not completely true. I believe everyone knows this website such as Stack Overflow, and it's just famous forum on every programmer who dealing with C++, but there is also a lot of PowerShell topics which you can learn from. And even if you are not simply understands how the works, or how VMI calls works, or how even PowerShell works, you can just simply copy and paste some part of the code to your existing script, upgrade it, test it, and then make a brilliant script which will cover your needs, but basically without any particular skills from your side. So basically, it's not about the skills, it's about the proper maybe architecture of the script. We'll talk about it a bit later. And the PowerShell is the key to fully automate everything. Obviously, not only a Hyper-V can be managed, like the VMware has also the Power CLI API, which is PowerShell based, so you can automate the hybrid environment using the same PowerShell for Hyper-V and the VMware within the same laptop, let's say. So am I. Like, for example, I have multiple scripts which triggers and VMware here by my work, and as my hobby, I creating some scripts for VMware and the Hyper-V just to make more easiest deployment, more easiest management, etc., etc. So generating the report, for example, send it via email, etc., etc. Basically, you can combine multiple tasks within the same script, or create a chain of the scripts, which is also good. For example, if you are not sure about how first script will work, you can create just a chain by the schedule, or create the chain inside the PowerShell. If the first is not completed successfully, the second script will not start. You can create for example, if something went wrong with one of the scripts, you can create even the email notifications and send it to yourself. And that's it. By the automatization, it meaning that you're not needed on right on the screen. So basically, you can create the script, you can schedule it in the task scheduler, and just trigger it by the specific event in the Windows, or by the time, or by the sequence. So basically, there's a lot of possibilities to automate your daily routine tasks. Even you can automate everything. For example, to reboot all of your VMs. That's completely easily can be done by combining the task scheduler, which is included every Windows VM, Windows environment, and that's it. So basically, this is just a quick overview what kind of PowerShell things you can do. Let me switch to my lab environment, which I have prepared for you. So basically, we'll start with just a quick overview, which I have today. It's just a 2 Hyper-V hosts. It can be even a single Hyper-V host, not matter actually. Will show you the logic itself. So basically, what is my task is made Linux deployment much easier. So I have a golden image here. So the golden VM, it's called golden VM, with installed Alpine inside. And basically, what I need to do is just create multiple clones, but making it manually, it's absolute headache. So basically, you will need to copy all the same VHDX file, then create a new VM, attach the existing existing virtual hard disk, and that will take a lot of time. But basically, I can just simply automate it. We'll start with just a simple script of copying VHDX file, and we'll talk about the main script logic. So I have 3 pre-created scripts, which already tested, of course. So basically, this is the one of the scripts. It just shows, it just gets the existing VM ID, found the VHDX file location. You can do it this particular. You can do it in another way. You can just simply hard code it if you have, if you're not want to use it multiple times, or you want to use it only in this current environment, in this current situation. You can just hard code it and make it like D drive folder this file copy. So basically, I'm just getting the all info, the info about where the VHDX files is located. Then I created a directory, a new directory with where new VHDX file will be located. So I need to pre-create it before the copying. Then I'm using the copy item PowerShell commandlet to copy existing VHDX file to a new folder, making some conversion. So this is the hard part, and this basically, it's better to double check on some web pages where it's asked about, because some of the commandlets have a different types. And for example, the VHDX pass has the int64, while the simple string just show us the location D drive, this folder. So it's not showing the VHDX file, the extension of VHDX file. So I just getting some conversion here, and including the VHDX property of the file, and after it, I'm just creating the VM with the hard-coded parameters, with any properly specified and the some of the minimum needed information for creating new VM is generation, pass, and the switch, the virtual switch. The virtual switch is not exactly needed, but still you can create something like this. And after it, I'm just starting the VM. So let's double check. I have the golden VM here is running. So I'm just running this script. It creates a new folder, as you can see here. It's already copy and pasted the existing VHDX file, created a new VM, and if we'll navigate to Hyper-V Manager, we'll see that a new VM already here with the same operating system inside, same files, because it's the same file. And it's already started because I'm just say to start. Basically, what is the logic of the scripts? You need to understand. Yeah, just let me try. Maybe this one will be sufficient for you guys. I see that Christian Adamson. Paco about can see the script. Is it helpful for you, or can I just make something like this? Even more. Can we get a copy of the scripts? I'm not sure about this, how we definitely you can copy it like from the screen. I understand that it will take a while to just rewrite the script, but yeah, I believe about it, and maybe you will get some another email blast about the when you can get the examples of scripts. If you have, like in this particular case, Gopu asked us that if, but golden image is already running, it is good to copy while it's running. It is not if you have a VM which is making some changes inside the blocks, because this is just a simple installation where I just installed the operating system and nothing changed, nothing, not at all. So basically, there is no services inside which is running. I can copy the same VHDX files and just make a lot of VMs with the same VHDX file. If you have some basically existing VM which is running some services, which is making some changes inside the VHDX file, of course, it's better to first shut down it and then make a copy of it. But this is a bit different approach. We can get all of the information from the existing VM if it's not running. You need to hard code it in any case. So this is the thing about the sequence. So basically, what I've been done if I would creating this clone VM manually, I'm doing the same steps. Just take every VHDX files, copy it to another folder. So I'm creating the folder first, then copying the VHDX file, then opening the Hyper-V manager, creating a new VM, and attach an existing hard disk which is already copied. And this is the thing, you need to do the same steps in the scripting. So just imagine, take a white paper, for example, something like this, take a pencil and make a step-by-step. It's very, making a step-by-step actions, very helpful where we're creating a complex script. Like this one is quite easy to reproduce, it's quite easy to write. But when you have some complex scripts, such as not only creating, but shut it down, making snapshots, etc., it's better to you having all of these steps one by one, and that's it. The second and the golden rule here is just making the same steps in the PowerShell. From start, it would be good start at least, because some of the PowerShell commands will allow you to bypass some of the steps, make it much faster. Some of the steps must be done twice or 3 times, but still you will better understand how to manage a Windows environment using a PowerShell by making more scripts, etc., etc. So let's imagine this task is done, but this is something that's I'm not really happy with, because there is a lot of hard codes. For example, the memory startup bytes is hard coded, the generation is hard coded, the path is hard coded as the same as the virtual switch name is hard coded. So basically, I'm not really happy with this because I still, from the environment to environment, I need to change this parameters the script. So let's evolve this to something new. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open a second script, a full clone of the VM. So what is done? We just get all of the information from the existing running VM, right? So we get a VM ID, VM path, memory info, generation, CPU count, what is the startup and stop options and actions. Then I do some in64 changes because of it really in some cases required because of as I said, different types of the parameters. Then I do pretty much the same. So I'm creating a new folder, but in this case I'm not in a hard-coded path. I'm just creating the previous VM, like the original VM name plus clone. The same for VM path virtual hard disk, making the same copy action, making the same properly check. And then I creating a new VM. So the new here's the thing in Hyper-V, you can't specify all of the parameters of the VM when you're creating it. So you need to set it after it. Basically, what we do here is pretty much the same as the previous, but all of the parameters are fully automated. We just need to change this parameter, the VM name. And you can copy any of this without changing anything else. So basically, just pass through all of the information from the vulnerabilities, and then we set some of the parameters after creating, and then we do the same, start the VM. Basically, here's the golden VM folder. So let's start the script and see what will happen. As you can see, we have created a golden VM clone folder. We also do the same. We just copied golden VM VHDX file. We have a virtual machine here. And if we'll navigate to Hyper-V Manager, we'll see that golden VM clone created in the Hyper-V Manager. It's like, oh, since it's also have a start VM, it's just started. So basically, we have pretty much the same actions to do. We have pretty much the same numbers of the virtual machine, the network adapter of the virtual machine. Here, since we get all the information previously from the original VM and just using the PowerShell, send it to a new VM. That's it, but it's still not enough for me, because if you're talking about the failover cluster environment, I still need this VM to be relocated to the cluster shared volume, then register it as the VM. And we just adding one more string in a new script. So I'm just have another script here. It's this one. We just add an additional string to add this it's too big, fortunately, but still. So basically, we're just adding additional string on the to add this cluster to add this virtual machine to the cluster shared volume to the cluster at all. So basically, we have a test virtual machine running here, as you can see. It's already clustered. It's already have a disk located on the CSVA. Let's navigate to CSVA, this one. So we have a test VM. And what I'm doing is just creating pretty much the same as the previous script, but I'm just then adding this to failover cluster. So let's run this script. Okay, so it's just not getting a proper VM ID. So this is also okay. So basically, this is what you will get first steps in the PowerShell. In any case, you will get this things every time, because some of the parameters is not so clear. Some even Microsoft has a really beautiful PowerShell reference on their website in the Microsoft documentation, but still you can get some warning, some errors. But since I have an error action preference silently continue, is just created a test clone folder, copied the virtual hard disk, then created a new VM, created like set it everything according to this VM, and then in failover cluster just added another VM which is located on the cluster shared volume and can be simply migrated between the hosts. Basically, you can create multiple of them just doing this script, or you're not limited in this. You can create not only virtual machines, you can create a cluster of services, a cluster of roles, etc., etc. Not only Hyper-V limited, you can always use some of the plugins. So basically, for example, let's talk about the Starwind here, Starwind Virtual SAN. So basically, we have an PowerShell API, and you can write your own script to create a Starwind device, synchronize it, connect it via iSCSI using the PowerShell, then add it to the failover cluster, create a new virtual machine on top of this cluster shared volume, which is right now created, and that's it. So basically, this a quite big chain of actions, but still, you can do whenever you want with PowerShell, and just on the background, or simply you can, for example, create a basic task in this task scheduler. Let's call it test, for example. Run it by the schedule, daily, weekly, monthly, one time, just up to you, or be triggered by the specific event is logged. Then we just specifying the application which is triggering the event ID, specifying the source, the event ID. In the case of daily, we just specifying the schedule, actions, start the program, and specifying the PowerShell here as the program or the script. Basically, you can also send some additional parameters such as execution policy, the interaction, no window mode, hidden, something like this. So basically, you can do whenever you want with the task scheduler. It's also very helpful for administrators who wants to, for example, use a rubber copy of some of the files during the night without human intervention, because you're just creating a script, you're just specifying the folder which needs to be copied, the destination, and that's it. Specifying the time which it needs to be triggered, and go home, sleep, yeah, I don't know, like drink beer or something like this. So basically, there's a lot of possibilities of the PowerShell. And as you know, some of the Windows like the latest Windows Server features are mostly managed by the PowerShell. So knowing the PowerShell right now is very important if we are talking about the administration and improving the skills of administration, because some of the tasks can be done manually, of course, but if you able of optimize everything, you are not forced to do it manually, actually. So that's pretty much it from my side, guys. As I said, I will think about how I can deliver these scripts to you as an examples, so you can reuse it for your purposes, maybe make some changes or evolve it. So basically, this is the question time, guys. So maybe you have some questions. Feel free to ask any questions in the questions tab. I will be more than happy to answer on it. Gopo asked us, can we have some automatization to empty the node and restart it using a script? Of course you can. You can even create, using the PowerShell, you can even create some task scheduler task. Basically, you can clean up it, you can move the VMs, you can delete the files, you can do whatever you want with the PowerShell. Everything is allowed by the PowerShell to do. And yeah, then just send the shutdown request or restart request to the host itself. Okay, John White asked us if you say that the VMware can also be powered by the PowerShell. Yes, that's true. So it's the Power CLI model which is installed in the PowerShell, and it's not only VMware. You can usually some of the modern applications also has their own PowerShell plugins, such as Vim, for example. But yes, you can fully manage VMware infrastructure using the PowerShell from your laptop. Christian Adamson asked us, can you run those scripts remotely? Of course you can, but there's a bit different approach. Since because of the security, obviously, you will need to invoke these commands via secure string. So basically, you will need to bypass all of your credentials to your PC, or for particular server, and then you can run some of the scripts like remotely by invoking some of the commands. So basically, it looks like the additional script in the script. But basically, yes. Also, Christian asked if you wanted to create the VMs on different hosts, I believe. Yes, absolutely. So basically, if once again, if you don't have any trust within your domains, or you have Kerberos disabled, only using a create SSP, you can invoke the commands by sending them using the PowerShell. If you have Kerberos enabled and all of them just communicating via Kerberos, you can just simply create a remote, the PowerShell remote session, and send the script through it. About the backups, JW Shepik asked about, can we use this script also for making a backup of running systems? Yes or no. As I said, when you're copying this VHDX file, it's copied. It's making a copy from the moment when you make the copy. Like everything else changed during the period of copy is not copied with this VHDX file. So basically, it is not a backup in full meaning. In this case, using this script, for example, you can clone the VMs, you can create multiple VMs. But it's a good question. You can create a snapshot, making maybe, let's say, VHDX copy to avoid any data loss during this. And then I'm not sure, because it's, like you're talking about the real backup infrastructure work, how it works. Like it's creating a snapshot, enabling the block changes engine inside the VM, making the changes, and then merge it during the backup. This is quite different, like because it's more complicated task, and I'm not sure can it be done using just simple PowerShell. I believe you can do almost the same, just copying the HDX file, or for example, making it like shutting down those VMs after the business hours, copying the VHDX file to your NAS or SMB share, then power it on, and you have a copy of the VHDX file, but it's still not a full meaning backup. John Rajic asked, do you see this minimize downtime for server patching? Clone a server, patch it, then shut down the prod server and replace it with the patched clone? No, unfortunately, it's not the way how you would avoid downtime in during the patching, because this is the thing, you can't merge the blocks using the PowerShell. So basically, you can just specify one VHDX file, then specify a second VHDX file, and merge everything to get a single one. This usually done on the background using the snapshots, because it's much easier to merge, and by very complex software such as Vim, for example. But still, you will not avoid the downtime in this case. You'll just create an additional overhead. You will use a twice storage for your virtual machine, but you will not achieve what you actually want to achieve, because there's a more complex thing which is hidden in the windows. But still, the patching is something like the patching in Windows is something which very painful points here, but still you can experiment with some test VMs. Maybe you will find out the way how to do it. Yeah, I just saw your second question. Second answer, John. Yeah, that's a lot of things which needs to be taken into account to do anything related to the cloning and then merging the blocks. Thank you for your reply, Mark. Yeah, it sounds like a dangerous plan, but you can make the test on the test VMs, and then if it will work. Actually, you are not limited to use multiple tools in this case. So basically, you can have a real backups like the Vim or Altaro, for example. You can use these backups to backup your VMs, but as your like internal knowledge for your internal knowledge, you can do something with the PowerShell with the test VMs, for example. So, and yes, of course, you need to understand the risk here. So if you're doing something with the production VMs, it's always like the risk needs to be understandable. Okay, I can't see any other questions. In any case, I would say that thank you for your time, gentlemen. It was a pleasure to show something. Maybe will be something which maybe will be helpful for you in your future administration tasks. And I believe I will send some of the script examples as the email blast, or it will be available with the record in our website in the resource library. So yeah, thank you once again for your time. Wish you a great day, a good luck. Bye bye.